Hi folks. So I had a wash machine in the inlets where the water enters the machine. Well, it kept on filling up the machine. It wasn't shutting off unless I obviously turned off the tap where the hose come out of the wall from the house. So I wanted to investigate further to find out what was going on, and the inlet valve in this particular one, both of them were not sealing to stop the water flow, and that was the reason. So I wanted to find out how these things kind of worked. I had an idea how they worked, but I wanted to find out exactly what went wrong, and I did. And they're not fixable really at all, because they don't really come apart at all. I had to break it apart to get it apart. So anyhow, this is what it looks like, and it's on the washing machine at some place. These two pieces here stick out the back of the machine, and your hoses, hot and cold water would go onto them. And then this piece here, is on top of here like so. Then you have the little solenoid point that's over top of this, like so. And it clamps on. I bent the little tabs to get it off. Now inside of this piece there's a spring, and then you have this little plunger with a piece of soft rubber. And that little piece of rubber goes up and seals the hole on another piece of rubber on the inside of here in that hole. Well, that little rubber that's inside that hole, you can see it here. Hopefully you can see it. There's part of it. It deteriorates. So that piece of rubber that's inside there basically falls apart and deteriorates. And then this part here no longer is able to seal the hole to act like a valve. Now how this works is obviously it goes in the plunger here. If I can manage to get it in the hole. So it's spring loaded. You can see it's spring loaded. So that piece goes over top that hole, and that spring forces that little plunger out on top of the little hole and on top of that little rubber that's inside that hole, which creates a seal so no water can travel through it. And what this does, when current is applied to those two prongs, 120 volts for this particular one, well, it pulls that little plunger upward away from the hole, which allows water to flow. And then when the sensor triggers that the machine's got enough water, well, it stops the electricity flow here. Now makes this plunger pop back down and seal that hole, which stops the water flow. Well, in this case, all that was working fine, but inside that hole, both these holes, that little rubber that was inside there was deteriorated. So the seal that this plunger would make, it was not able to make that seal to stop the water flow, which continuously filled the machine up. Whether the machine was on or not, it didn't matter. And these things are cheap enough and very, very easy to replace. This particular one for this particular machine, I believe, was a little over $100. So I'll pick another one up and end up having a machine. Very easy to change, not complicated at all. This particular one has an extra sensor here for some sort of reason. I don't know the reason for it. Some of them do, some of them don't, but this one does. And I believe some of these are a lot cheaper than this particular one, but they don't have that sensor. So of course, depending on your machine, it'll be basically the same as this, but it may have some extra features on it for sensors. For whatever reason, those sensors will be there for, and some of them won't have them, some of them will. So this particular one's got the sensor, so I'll replace it with this identical one, which for me is a little over $100. So if anybody's washing machine is filling up for no reason at all, well, that's going to be the problem, is this inlet valve. The water inlet valves, it'll either be the hot or the cold. Sometimes one can go. For this one here, they both went, so they're both no good. And thank you for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and thank you very much for those that already have.